Photography is a very unique art. Photographers rely on their unique sense of natural scenes and use their lenses to accurately capture the purest beauty in the world. Today's story is about a photographer who used his lens to compose a magnificent hymn to nature. However, he also paid the price with his life because of it. Michio Hoshino was born in 1922 in Chiba Prefecture, Japan. From an early age, he showed an extraordinary love and curiosity for nature as a child. He often walked alone in the fields and mountains and forests in the suburbs, obsessed with the agile animals, and indulged in the wonderful changes brought about by the alternation of the four seasons. A chance encounter when he was a student completely changed the trajectory of Michio Hoshino's life. It was the first time in his life that he had been exposed to photography, and through the small viewfinder, he was pleasantly surprised to find that he was able to permanently freeze the fleeting moments of beauty in his eyes. Later, he was admitted to the Department of Economics of Keio University, which is not ordinary in Japan, and the Department of Economics has produced many Japanese elites at that time. Most Japanese people had a stable job in a company after graduating from university until they retired. But Michio Hoshino took a very different path. Once, Michio Hoshino found a photo book called Alaska in a bookstore, and every page of this work shocked him. For him, every falling leaf and every butterfly flapping its wings was like a message from nature, constantly stirring and stimulating a strong desire to explore the unknown world in his heart. In 1973, Michio Hoshino made a very bold decision to go to that mysterious land in North America alone. When he first arrived in Alaska, he was deeply shocked by everything in front of him. The endless glaciers shone with a cold and mesmerizing light, as if the giants of time had fallen into an eternal slumber on this land. The vast forest was lush and green, and every leaf seemed to tell the vigorous power of life. Herds of wild animals ran and galloped freely everywhere, and their agile figures were perfectly integrated with nature, together to build a moving picture full of vitality. Michio Hoshino lived with a local Eskimo family for 3 months, during which time he became immersed in the local community and culture and fell in love with the land. After graduating from Keio University, he took the entrance exam for the University of Alaska's Fairbanks and eventually successfully entered the Department of Wildlife Management at the University of Alaska. He studied here for 3 years. After graduating, Michio Hoshino returned to Japan, but he never forgot Alaska on the other side of the Pacific. This vast, mystical land with untouched natural beauty was a paradise for Michio Hoshino. After that, Michio Hoshino studied photography with the famous photographer Hikaru Tanaka, and he also worked hard to practice his English so that he could travel to Alaska again. After a long period of preparation, at the age of 26, he once again took his heavy luggage and went to the land of his dreams, where he stayed for 20 years. During his time in Alaska, Michio Hoshino went out into the wilderness and got in touch with nature in order to capture the most realistic and shocking images. He often carried heavy camera equipment on his back and struggled on rugged and thorny mountain roads. Every step forward was full of hardship and sweat, but the glitter in his eyes had never been extinguished. At night, he often huddled in a simple and cramped tent, and the bitter cold wind beat the tent mercilessly, making a whirring sound. But with the anticipation of the most beautiful light the next morning, he slept peacefully in the cold and loneliness sometimes. In order to capture the light and sight at a particular moment, he would wait quietly in one place for hours, or even a whole day. The hardest part of being a photographer is getting in touch with nature, but Michio Hoshino saw himself as a part of the Alaskan ecosystem. In order to find this sense of nature, he never carried a weapon in wildlife-infested areas and always tried to use close-range shooting. He also developed a deep friendship with the local Eskimos. The reverence for nature and the unique wisdom of survival deeply touched the heart of Michio Hoshino. He used his lens to record the life of Eskimos, those simple and innocent smiles, resolute and determined eyes, and beautiful scenes of harmonious coexistence with nature had become an indispensable and sparkling part of his works. Michio Hoshino's photographs are full of respect and passionate praise for life. His photographs of wild animals, whether it is the lonely and resolute figure of a polar bear on the ice, or the magnificent and shocking scene of reindeer migration, vividly show the tenacious vitality of animals in nature and through his works. He affectionately called on people to protect this beautiful and fragile land. With his outstanding photographic talent and deep understanding of nature, Michio Hoshino's work had gradually won wide recognition and praise internationally. He had received numerous photography awards, the most notable of which was Japan's Kimura Aihi Photography Award, one of the most influential photography awards in the world. Many of his works are also in the permanent collection of the local Alaska Museum. In addition to his achievements in the field of photography, Michio Hoshino had also authored several books, such as Alaska and On a Long Journey. In Alaska, he used detailed text and beautiful photography to show Alaska's natural beauty, wildlife, and local people. In addition to breathtaking glacial landscapes, vast forests, and vivid scenes of traditional Eskimo life, the book makes readers feel as if they are in the middle of the world and feel the unique charm of Alaska. On a Long Journey is more like a collection of his personal photographic essays, documenting his photographic journeys around the world, sharing what he saw, heard, thought, and felt during the shooting process. He presented these valuable experiences to readers in words and pictures, and his literary works were serialized in Japanese weekly magazines, making him a well-known photographer and travel writer throughout Japan. In addition to his day-to-day photography work, he often gave lectures in the local area to educate the public about the wonders of the natural world. At this time, Michio Hoshino had completely fallen in love with the magical place of Alaska, and even after he got married, he did not choose to return to Japan, but took his wife to live in Alaska. In the summer of 1986, Michio Hoshino was invited to Kamchatka, Russia for filming. The Kamchatka Peninsula is home to a rich diversity of natural landscapes and unique ecosystems, with spectacular volcanoes, vast forests, and a wide variety of wildlife, making it an attractive location for Michio Hoshino. Upon arrival in Kamchatka, Michio Hoshino and his team set up camp in a scenic but wildlife-infested area. Their camp was located near a river and was surrounded by dense forests that were also an area for wildlife such as grizzly bears and reindeer. And this place would also be the end of Michio Hoshino's long journey. During the day, a huge grizzly bear quietly appeared near the camp of Michio Hoshino and his team. The grizzly bear lingered around the camp for a long time, rubbing its body against the trees, leaving a distinct scent mark, which was the grizzly bear's behavior in asserting its territory. In the evening, everyone sat around the campfire and discussed the day's shooting and plans for the next day. During this time, the companions remembered the behavior of the grizzly bear during the day and planned to rest together in a nearby cabin, because the cabin was stronger than the tent and could resist the attack of the grizzly bear to a certain extent. However, Michio Hoshino rejected his companion's kindness. He believed that the tent allowed him to get closer to nature and capture the first rays of light in the morning. Moreover, with his rich experience in the field, he felt that as long as he remained vigilant, there should not be much of a problem. So, as usual, Michio Hoshino set up his tent not far from the camp. He put his camera equipment in his hands and fell asleep in anticipation of the next day's shooting. Unbeknownst to him, however, danger was looming at him. Around 3 o'clock in the morning, the silence of the camp was broken by a low roar. The grizzly bear that had appeared during the day came to camp again. This time, it headed straight for Michio Hoshino's tent. The grizzly bear's footsteps were getting closer and closer, and Michio Hoshino was awakened from his sleep. He knew that danger was approaching him, but he didn't dare to make a sound. If the grizzly bear noticed the sound, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, the grizzly bear recognized the human in the tent by smell, and it pounced on the tent. The fragile tent was torn apart in an instant under the strong force of the grizzly bear, and before Michio Hoshino could react more, he was hit by the grizzly bear's attack. Despite his struggles, the grizzly bear's attacks were too swift. The other people in the cabin heard the sound and hurried out to check, only to discover a cruel scene. They saw a big grizzly bear constantly biting and tearing at Michio Hoshino, leaving him with blood. Michio Hoshino had been resisting in severe pain, but the difference in strength between man and bear was too great, and these resistances were just grasshoppers shaking trees. Grizzly then dragged Michio Hoshino deep into the forest. The rest of the team watched this scene, but there was nothing they could do. Early in the morning, the team went to the depths of the forest to look for Michio Hoshino. At this time, they actually knew in their hearts that Michio Hoshino had little hope of surviving, and finally, they came to the deepest part of the forest to find his body, It was full of scars left by the grizzly bear. After Michio Hashino's death, there was a rumor that he took a picture of a bear before he died, in fact. After a detailed investigation and understanding of the situation at that time, there is no evidence that he successfully pressed the shutter at the moment of the attack. This rumor may stem from people's high praise and imagination for his professionalism as a photographer, hoping that he would stick to his mission in the last moments of his life. But whether or not this photograph was taken, Michio Hashino's love for photography and dedication to nature have long been deeply imprinted in each of his works and in the hearts of everyone who loves his work. Michio Hashino used his brilliant and short life to perfectly interpret his passionate love for photography and his dedication to nature. He was undoubtedly a true artist, using the lens as a brush to paint a beautiful picture of nature. He was also a brave explorer who ventured into the wilderness in search of the mysteries of nature. He was also a staunch guardian of nature, using his works to convey awe and love for nature. This magnificent song of nature, composed by him with his life, will inspire generations of people to discover, pursue, and protect beauty. Perhaps one day in the future, we will be able to add a touch of gorgeous and unique color to this world in our own unique way, just like him.